When I got it, oh man, you're going to be playing gay characters for the rest of your life, except they didn't quite say it so artfully. And my point of view on it was, first of all, one of the greatest directors in the history of film, Sidney Lumet, was directing it. One of the great actors in American cinema, Al Pacino, was playing the lead. A couple of other not too bad actors, including John Cazale, Charlie Durning. It was a great sort of New York cast of fabulous theater actors. And I was a theater actor, basically. I'd never done a movie. That was my first movie.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I just thought, and it was a great script. In fact, the year that it was, that Dog Day was nominated for something like 7 or 8 Oscars, that's the Oscar that it won, was for screenplay by Frank Pearson. So I thought, well, are we so narrow-minded that you think that that's all you're going to do for the rest of your life? No, it's a great part. I got to do it. If I'm offered it, I got to do it. And I went in and I auditioned for Sidney and Al. And it was interesting because the note that I got from Sidney afterwards was a little less Blanche Dubois and a little more Queen's Housewife. Which was a great direction, and that's very much the way I took it. And so it was, and because the movie was about a dysfunctional relationship, it wasn't necessarily about gay lifestyle.
No, it wasn't.
Not at all. And so I think that's what happened when audiences saw it, is they saw this relationship that they could interject themselves into in some way, shape, or form, despite the fact that there were 2 men. Although the character that I played was a much more feminine man, the fact is that it was a relationship that was made in hell. And we've all been through those, right?
Yeah. Did you attend the Oscars that night?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did.
You're not one of those that was just a still stock photo of you in a corner somewhere.
No. It was, for my first movie. Are you kidding? Don't go to the Oscars, please.
Were you an odds-on favorite that year?
No, absolutely not. The guy who won, George Burns, was the odds-on favorite.
How do you go up against George Burns?
God.
Yeah. To pick on another one of your kids, and we got some cheers for it here, Fright Night.
Yeah.
Get applaud for Fright Night.
Give it up for Fright Night.
Great talent on that show. Roddy McDowall, one of the best actors ever. At that time, when Fright Night came out, there was, much like we have the vampire movies today and all that, at that time we had all the Jason and Halloween, and horror was very big. Fright Night, unlike a lot of those other films, has had legs, and it has stayed popular so much they made that, with all due respect, awful remake. Well, it was pretty bad. I mean, they don't compare the two. Did you know you guys had maybe something a little bit different than the average horror movie at the time, or did you go into this thinking this is just going to be a gig?
First of all, I never thought it was going to be a gig. I got the script at a time when I was doing a lot of hoity-toity television. I was playing Sidney Carton and Charles Darnay in The Tale of Two Cities for the Hallmark Hall of Fame. I was playing Thomas Wolfe in You Can't Go Home Again. I was doing like these really great lead classical roles on television. And I was doing a few movies here and there at the time, and I thought I'm a very what's the word I want? I had my nose up my ass a bit, in terms of who I thought I was. And I got this script, and I said, I got this vampire script. I can't do a vampire movie. I'm a Tale of Two Cities. And I read the script, and I thought to myself, you know what, Chris, you're an idiot. Because you can't, the time to make up your mind about, my wife always says this, the time to make up your mind about somebody is never. And the time to make up your mind about something is never as well, in that what's important is the quality of the piece. And I opened that screenplay and I couldn't put it down. It was brilliantly written. It had a kind of classical form to it in the sense that it had a brilliant kind of act structure to it. The characters were very vivid. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen. The lead character, the vampire character, was a great role, and I thought, Jesus, I got to meet this guy, the guy who wrote it, and who is, by the way, going to direct it. The only caveat was it was his first movie. He had never directed a movie. He'd written screenplays that had gotten made. And so I went to California and I sat down with Tom Holland, and Tom literally described the movie frame by frame to me. He said, okay, here's the opening shot is such and such. Camera's doing this, and then such and such. And then we move into this, and then this happens. And then the camera goes up, and then this, and by the time he was finished, I said, when do we start? It was a no-brainer. And one of the things that Tom impressed upon me when we were talking was that he was a real classic vampire movie fan. He had been a fan for all of his life, horror movie fan too, as well. And that he was tired of movies that made fun of the genre. And because that's the point at which the genres tend to dissipate and sort of die. And he wanted to revive it. And so what he did was he made a movie that had a tone that had fun with the genre without making fun of it. So there were a lot of jokes. There was a lot of homage to old movies in it. To conventions of vampire movies, which he felt very strongly about. But they were turned on their head a little bit, slightly, here and there. The whole business with the cross. You have to believe in order for that to work, Mr. Vincent, that sort of thing. And I think that's why it's lasted, because the movie itself, it has a real integrity to it. That it has a belief in itself, that this is real, folks, that these relationships are important. We worked hard, we rehearsed for a week before we started the movie. We all did biographies for ourselves. We worked like a real acting troupe. And I think that work showed through in the movie.
Yeah, every role in that, every cast member, you believed.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. That was a great script, but if they had miscast it...
But that's Tom, too. That's
Absolutely.
Tom's choice of cast, and also his belief that we had to approach this from a very real character standpoint.
A few years after that, they did a sequel with Roddy and the lead actor.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah. Did they ask you to return? I know they killed Jerry off, but did they ask you to return for that sequel?
No.
That's that.